Hey everybody, it's Moss Jackson. Welcome to Mondays with Moss. Man, it's been a wild week, hasn't it? I once went riding on a horse, and the guy gave me a horse that was a little too rambunctious, and I felt like I was on a wild bronco. I feel this week has been like bronco riding. Anyway, I've been thinking about over the last few weeks this whole notion of what do we focus on in a way that allows us to feel a sense of control in life and a sense of we're okay. And it's difficult right now because politically it's been a mess. The resurrection, whatever you want to call it, at the Capitol was terrible to watch. It was very upsetting to watch it on TV. The plague that we're still going through is stressful. So I'm feeling a lot of internal conflict. So I'm sure many of you are feeling that too. But I'm not focusing today on internal conflict, my internal stresses or yours, but more on what goes on between people. I thought because of what I've been noticing politically lately, it might be useful to talk actually about conflict. So today I want to talk about handling conflict. I want to give you a case study of conflict, underlying it, what's going on, and some action steps you can take. Now, conflict is a pretty, it's not an easy thing to talk about. It's not like I can do it in 15 minutes, but I thought I would start today with, let's say you have the problem, because on the one hand, you could have the problem with another person, or another person may have a problem with you, or you both may have a problem together. So I thought today I'd start with, you have the problem, and you want to talk about it with the other person. So this could be called the power struggle. It could also be called what went wrong, all right? So here's the situation. I'm going to give you a case study. So we have a wife and a husband that really like each other, care about each other, but every once in a while they get triggered, or he gets triggered, or she gets triggered, and it can go either way. In this case, let's see what happens. She's on the phone talking long distance to her married daughter with 2 children. She hasn't heard from them for a while, so she finally got them on the phone and was feeling quite engaged and relieved to be talking to her daughter. Daughter lives in California. The husband comes barging into the room, apparently quite agitated, and storms in waving a bill, saying, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about money. You're spending money, and we're running out of money, and we're going to go bankrupt. We have to talk about it. You're spending too much money. She gasps, as if she's being punched in the stomach. And actually, when we were talking about this in therapy, she actually did gasp. I could see the change in her body. She screams back, "Can't you see I'm on the phone? You always do this to me. Every time I'm on the phone talking to somebody, you have to act like a baby and come in and demand, feed me, take care of me, blame. Why can't you wait till I'm off the goddamn phone?" You can imagine what happens next. I call it the downward spiral. By the way, the daughter, hearing what's going on, screams to her mother, "Hi, Alex, don't let him do this to you. Stand up for yourself." Anyway, there's a 3-way yelling going back and forth. The father's holding the bill, husband's holding the bill, mother's screaming at him, trying to talk to the daughter. Oh, God. As they're telling me the story, I felt almost exhausted, thinking to myself, what's really going on here? That's really the key question. There's the conflict. He has a problem, but what's really going on here? Well, although the husband sounds really angry, what's going on here is just anxious. He's really anxious about money and safety. The problem is he presents it in a hard startup. A hard startup is, how come you, or you always, or why can't you? It sounds like an attack. It's not a soft startup. I'll get to that in a minute. So he has no awareness that he is actually setting up a confrontation with his wife where he's going to end up feeling unappreciated, unsupported, and ganged up on with his daughter. He's getting emotionally triggered and kidnapped by his own behavior. Oh my God, what a mess. The wife, on the other hand, is really anxious about the daughter's safety. She hasn't spoken to her daughter for quite a while, couldn't reach her, is concerned about COVID. She knows that particular area in California where her daughter lives, COVID is going out of control, and they haven't been able to handle the vaccines. And then she gets confronted with the husband's, what sounds like real anger. She can't read the agitation. She doesn't know he's emotionally triggered. Instead, the wife really feels attacked. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because it was an attack, even though I don't think it was the husband's intention to attack her. But she felt attacked, bullied, unsupported. She's emotionally triggered. It ends up like a lose-lose, okay? Both feel uncared for as a result, and they go into a 3-day stonewall where they don't talk to each other. So, I don't know, who's right? Who do you agree with? Was the husband right? Is the wife spending too much money? Should she talk to the daughter? Should he have waited? You know, marital therapy. I find there are times I see couples in therapy, it's like herding cats. Anytime I get someone calling me for marital therapy, I feel a certain tension in my stomach because I know it's going to be like getting on the Bronco, okay? Marriage is a perfect breeding ground for conflict. We all want our marriages or long-term relationships to be loving and caring. Hi, Susan. And loving and caring, but it's a perfect breeding ground for conflict. The question is, do conflicts have to end up in hurt feelings, anger, win-lose, lose-lose, victim-victimizer? Because that's often what I see going on. Even when I'm not in therapy, and I just watch people talk. They end up like who's right, who's wrong. It ends up being very messy. So what is conflict? We all have conflict. Basically, it's a disagreement or a difference of opinion. A disagreement or a difference of opinion. I see it one way, you see it another. It could be over a restaurant. I like Italian food or Greek food. My wife loves the delicatessen or Chinese food. We could have a conflict. We don't argue about it anymore, but there was a time we did. It could be over discipline. How do we deal with the kids? Is one parent too harsh, one parent too easy? What TV series we're going to watch? How much time together we're going to spend versus time apart? Do we do the chores first and have recreation first, or vice versa? We see life through different eyes. We're not clones of each other. We mess up our relationships by having a human tendency that when we're disappointed or upset and not getting what we want, we tend to bicker, we tend to argue, we can easily take it personally. Very often we insist we're right and you're wrong. Or we stonewall. What's the point in talking? So you just shut down. Sometimes we give nasty looks, nasty tone, we're disdainful, contemptuous. Later on, another talk, I might want to give you 12 ways to really screw up your relationship. 12 listening blocks to really shut down your partner and really create problems. But right now, we're talking about managing conflicts, not stirring things up. So conflicts could be marital, they could be in the family, they could be between siblings, could be in business. A lot of business partnerships break up because they don't know how to deal with each other. I think about 60-70% of partnerships break up because of that reason. Nationally, we're seeing it right now played out in Congress. It's played out across the country. 80 million people or so voted for Biden, 70 million people voted for Trump. And it's often, I'm right, you're wrong, good, bad, and there's very little dialogue. There's very little collaborative problem solving. So my observation, and you might concur, you might agree, conflict is inevitable. It's inevitable. Differences of opinion arise, but it doesn't have to be nasty, it doesn't have to be aggressive, it doesn't have to be win-lose or lose-lose. Okay, but the question is, who teaches us about conflict? And how do we deal with it? I didn't get any when I was growing up, any teaching in conflict. I did actually implicitly by watching my parents. And whenever I try to talk to my mom or dad about what happened, they would say, it's none of your business, it's for grown-ups, go play outside. So I had the feeling that, oh my God, this is a taboo area. So it wasn't until I really got into graduate school and learned about conflict or started to deal with people's conflict as a therapist or as a consultant that I really got my hands around it. So what did you learn? Did you learn anything growing up? Did you have any classes in school, in middle school, high school? Did your parents talk to you about how do we handle conflict in our family? My guess is probably not, but you probably learned a lot by watching, learning, and feeling. So what I'm doing in this series, I'm looking at one topic a week, like one practice a week, 1 week at a time. And this week is conflict, but I want to focus on how to cope with conflict, how to recognize it from the point of view of you having the problem. I think next week I'll take a look at it from the point of view of someone else having the problem, coming to you and looking at how they present and how you react. And then the third week, what if you both have a conflict? Very different scenarios. So if you have the problem, there are 3 times you can deal with the problem: before the problem, during the problem, and after. Which time do you think is the best time to deal with it? From my sense, the best time to deal with it is before, okay? So hopefully you're able to talk with your spouse or your partner and make agreements, like what's in our common interest and what are we going for? Do we have any common goals? When there's a disagreement, how are we going to handle it? How do we decide what's important? When do you know when to avoid? When do you know when to accommodate? Sure, you can have your way. It's no problem. When do you compromise? Let's split the difference. When do you take a stand? And when do you try to collaborate and create a win-win? The problem is many of us have expectations. We think the other person should know how we feel. Or they play the expectation game. Well, I gave in. I did what he wanted last month or last week. He should, she should this week. So we don't say that to the person. By the way, because I was nice to you or did what you wanted to do last month, you owe me to. So that's not how we normally talk, but we may feel that way. So the best thing to do is to think about, do we have any agreements? Notice you're upset. If you're feeling upset about like for example, if we go back to Bob, the husband in this case with the waving bill, hey, I'm really upset about this bill. I'm noticing it. Think to yourself, label it. I'm upset. I'm upset about finances. When I get a bill and I can't pay for it, it triggers me. Or I'm noticing it, I'm feeling it in my stomach, I'm feeling tense. You may want to rate it 1 to 10, 10 being very tense, 1 being very low. I'm about an 8. Oh my God, if I'm an 8, I can't talk about it. So you want to acknowledge you're upset, want to label it, listen to yourself, rate it, locate it in your body. And very important, before you go and talk about it, if you're above a 5 or a 6, don't talk about it. Go someplace and calm yourself down first. Lower to under 5. Why? Because if you're above a 6 or a 7, you're in danger of getting emotionally hijacked, emotionally kidnapped. It's like there's a part of your brain, the fire alarm goes off, the fire engine coming, back to the horse is bronching, you're no longer walking or cantering. You have lost your seat in the saddle and you're being bounced around all the time. It jumbles your thinking, and what comes out of your mouth you're going to be sorry for later. So calm yourself before you speak. Own your upset. Think about your intention. Is your goal to attack, to problem solve, or to get some support? That's what you're doing before. You're thinking ahead. Like what's my plan? Ready, aim, fire. Now, during the upset, when you're stirred up, this is a hard time to talk. But you want to kind of do, if you can, a meet and greet. Hey, hi. And you want to kind of let the person know what's going on. Not like, how come you? Or why do you? You want to find out, is the person available to talk? If she or he's not available to talk, find a better time. For example, you might start with, hey, you may be busy. I'm struggling with something. I have an upset. I need your help. Is this a good time to talk or not? If not, what's a good time? Now, if the partner says no, or has a look on her face like, don't react. Move away and come back later and say, okay, I'll check with you later. Okay. In other words, you have to regulate and not get re-triggered. You already got triggered by the bill. You don't want to get triggered by the partner you care about. Okay. Now here's some key steps when you actually are talking about it during the conversation. Tell your partner what you're upset about. For example, Bob may have said to Joni, "Hey, Joni, thanks for making time for me. I appreciate it." And slow your speech down. Take a breath. "Hey, Joni, thanks for making time for me. I know I get upset over money and maybe overreacting. Can we talk about it? And I'm interested in how you look at it." Then state the facts, not a big story. Like, once again, you've overcharged the bill. Talk about, I got a bill. This is what's happening. I'm not sure if it's been paid. Can we talk about it? Okay? And then you discuss it. Now, the partner's job is not to get defensive. If you're the partner, if you're Joni, you take a deep breath, you listen, and you reflect. "Hey, wow, so what you're saying is, I can see that you're really concerned. Tell me what you're worried about." "Yeah, I know. Thanks for letting me know that you're worried, because I really do appreciate that you come from a background, from your family, where there's scarcity, and you've told me this before, so thanks for letting me know. Maybe you're overreacting, maybe you're not, but let's take a look and talk. Squeeze the lemon. Tell me more about it, honey. I know you're upset." Speak in a caring voice. Look him in the eye. Don't go, "Oh, God, here we go again. I can't believe you're bringing this up again. How many times do we have to talk about it?" No, come back. Take a breath. If you're ready, once he's gotten it all out, you might say to him, "Are you interested in my point of view? Do you want to problem solve?" And summarize what you heard. "So this is what I'm understanding your problem to be. Thanks for bringing it to me. I'll be glad to talk to you about it. I can appreciate your underlying need." You always want to go to the underlying need. Don't get caught up in the complaint. The underlying need is usually safety, or I want to feel some control. Not like I want to control you, but I want to feel like I have control over my finances. Look at the facts, brainstorm options, and try not to rush into a solution. And if you get agitated, call a timeout. Now, after, whatever way it turns out, you may want to practice before, during, and after. After, you check in with the person. "Hey, just want to check in with you. We started to have this conversation." Now, if you're Bob, if you're the person presenting the problem, and maybe you lost it, maybe you got triggered and you didn't do a very good job, apologize. "Hey, Joni, I'm really sorry. I lost my temper. I think I got hijacked. I'm feeling a little better now. I did a little calming, but I do have a problem that I want to talk with you about. Is this a good time?" Start it all over again. It's like baseball. Strike one, strike two, strike three. Keep doing it. So apologize if needed. Clarify your intended intention. "Hey, I really meant to get some support, but I lost it somewhere along the way. I got triggered and I got crazy. And I said some things that were nasty. I apologize." Review what happened and then move on. Thank the person. "Hey, thanks for talking about it with me. I really appreciate it. Maybe you solved the problem, maybe you didn't." Conflict resolution is an ongoing skill, and you keep developing it. "Hi, John." Keep developing it over time. You need practice, just like you need practice in anything. So here are some key points. Number one, conflict is normal and predictable. It's inevitable. Number two, you want to get clear about what's your intention. What do you want to accomplish? Is it to attack? You want to get some support? You want to just vent? You want to problem solve? You want to find out, after you own the problem, whose problem is it? Now, if you're blaming the other person, you got a problem. It's not the other person's problem, because you're the one agitated. If you come at the other person with "how come you better believe the other person is going to react. You're setting up an emotional hijack and a misery, and then you're going to blame the person even more. So not only do you have a primary problem, you have a secondary problem between you and your partner. Remember, you have a default tendency, we all do, to go into blaming, taking things personally. That's why you need to before you go into any conversation about an upset or a conflict, is notice that you're feeling upset. See if you can own the problem. See if you can begin to calm yourself down, and then go and talk to the person with, "I'm having a problem." That's called a soft startup. A soft startup. "Hey, honey. Hey, dear. You got a minute or two? deep breath. I'm struggling with something. I need your help. It's just a way to engage compassion, okay? State and talk about the problem from your point of view. As soon as possible, go to your underlying need. I know I get really agitated about this. I think I have a really strong need to feel safe. And when I get a bill that's not paid for, I think I get scared. So I think my need is I need financial security. So I want to make sure we're we're okay. Maybe I'm misreading it. And see if the partner has anything to say about it. Now next week I'm going to talk about if your partner has the problem and comes to you, or you think it's coming at you, how do you handle it? How do you field it? Going back to my baseball analogy, a baseball, strike one, strike two. If you're a shortstop and a fast grounder comes at you, how do you prepare? How do you watch it coming at you? How do you get it in your glove, not in your face, and deal with it so you don't get hurt and you react? If your partner's on a Bronco, how do you help that person deal with it so you don't get stampeded in the process? All right? So right now we have a political climate where there are stampedes going on. Hopefully we can move towards what I call collaborative problem solving. And that's what I want to focus on over the next one or two other sessions. So today I talked about one practice a week. It's going to be really one practice over 3 weeks. If you have a conflict, here's an approach. Next week, if the other person has the conflict, how do you deal with it as a partner? Whether or not that person has gotten emotionally triggered and on a Bronco. And thirdly, which is the hardest, what do you do when you both are on a Bronco? Oh my God, when you both are on it and you both are out of control. Interesting topics. Well, I hope you tune in next week, Mondays with Moss. And there's further information below on if you want to, or above, if you want to check out the prior broadcasts that I've done. I think last week I did one on conflict, on curiosity. And I've been practicing curiosity during the whole week. And I'm not sure I could find it. But I think last week I mentioned to you I'm working on a painting, and I wasn't very happy with it. And I felt like throwing it out. Remember that? Okay. Okay, and this is what it looked like last week. Got a picture? So I thought to myself, this painting sucks. I wonder what I'm going to do with it. Should I keep it, throw it out? I had an internal conflict. Then I said to you, well, let's check it out next week and see what kind of progress I made. So this is a kind of an example of where I'm coming. It's still a work in progress, but okay, that's how it's coming along now. Getting a little shape, still needs some work. Now, this is not museum grade or gallery grade painting. I'm painting this for my granddaughter, but I'm going to use this as an example when we're not satisfied sometime in the future, when I go to handling your own internal conflicts. It's not towards anybody else, but how do you deal with that in yourself? So my internal conflict here was, since my intention is to be living life as a creative person, and I didn't like the result, and I wanted to like attack it and throw it away. I said, no, breathe into it, wanted to share it with you, and I'll continue to work on it a little bit, and then let it go. Anyway, thanks for kind of bearing with me about that, and I'll see you hopefully next week. In the meantime, if you're on the horse, notice if you're upset. Notice if you're in conflict. If you're in conflict, you ask yourself, hi, Cheryl, what's the nature of the conflict? What am I upset about? Is it my problem or the other person's problem? If it's my problem, what's my goal? Is my goal to attack, get some support, to vent, own it, regulate first, self-regulate first, do a ready, fire, aim, and then think about how do I move into talking about it in a way that maintains the working relationship, that doesn't get her or you emotionally triggered and turning into a Bronco. Okay, folks? Okay, see you in a week.